They'll be calling you a radical. So, whoa. Back to the birds falling from the sky. Oh, that happens all the time. So, Hadley, I'm headed over to the rehab center here to have a conversation with him. I got my clock down. I know when they freaking come flying to this pond, what time. What a vista today. It might have been a long one. So, he says, in my 2 decades, and I know him, he's the same guy that made the statement on the COVID in the mink here. That's what he does. I mean, I've never seen anything like this happen to Tundra Swans. So, stay with me. I've lived here my whole life. Lived here on the marsh. I'm a bird nut. So, look at this. So, I was here, near the marsh Friday night. We had some pretty good wind. Tundra swans don't crash into the ground and die from wind. It doesn't fucking happen. And the wind was brisk, stiff, but we get a lot harder winds. So stay with me. What's happening with these animals? The ecology's fucking being annihilated. So, if the wind did take them down and crash them and kill them, which it's obvious they weren't hit by lightning, they're not shot, they broken wings, legs, they fell from the sky. So, if that's the case, the wind they're sick and they're weak. Now, they're grass feeders, see how this duck's feeding on the bottom, of the vegetation, that's how they feed. The lake is so low. The marsh along the edge. Now, here's my hypothesis. And I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. The Great Salt Lake is so low right now. It's the lowest in its history, and it's millions of years history. So the marsh is getting further and further away from its natural habitat. It's moving into an area where the toxins have dumped into the Great Salt Lake for millions of years. Millions, the ancient Lake Bonneville. I was up on the shoreline yesterday. So, if that's the case, where they're feeding, is it toxic? Well, this happened in 2015. Remember all the eagles were staggering around dead? The eagles are scavengers. They come from Alaska. Now, I've been keeping track out of Farmington Bay, which there is no Farmington Bay anymore because the lake's so dry. We should get between 600 and 800 migratory eagles a year. I mean, I keep track. I think we had 8 this year at Farmington Bay. Now, my buddy lives where these birds fell from the sky. He says there were some eagles up in the canyons where I've never seen them before. I mean, they're moving. They're trying to adapt. So, these animals are sick. I mean, it falls in, this elk that my buddy shot up there, 3 antlers, sickly. I mean, people here, my friends that are deer hunters, whatever, they say, never seen anything like these animals are sick. I mean, this whole ecological, by the way, no one will talk about the origin of COVID. They're sure talking about me-ism. This attack on the environment, and this is important because they signed the accord. They had the international meeting in Costa Rica to protect grassroots environmentalists like myself. Of course, the United States didn't sign on to it. You think it's a coincidence that meeting was on March 11th and 12th. It's no coincidence. They know about Fukushima down there. And the environmentalists are being murdered. Just think about it. Talk to PETA. Go try to take some footage of a mega dairy or a pig farm here in Utah. Or the mink farms here. They'll arrest you as a terrorist and put you in prison for life. Probably beat you to death. Ask Tim DeChristopher. Last time I saw Tim DeChristopher, we're sitting on the streets together in New York City. I mean, so the attack on so-called environmentalists internationally, no one's attacked environmentalists in the environment harder than the United States under Obama and Trump. Now, I tried telling people this in Europe. I spent so much time there. They don't understand. They still think the United States is the beacon. I said, no, that's pre-2000. post-2000, you know, the terrorism, boogeymanism, the fucking Patriot Act, they waged war on the environment, animals, and environmentalists like nobody on the face of the earth. There have been more environmentalists, grassrooters, killed, imprisoned, more animals collapsed and died in North America in the past decade than the previous millions of years combined. That's an unarguable fact. So I'll go over there to talk to him. Now, the eagles, when they staggered, they're like, well, the eagles all died from eating the grebes. Okay, what killed the grebes? The grebe, oh, they got West Nile. What? No, that was debunked. That was debunked, not true. Scientists are mystified. They're baffled. They're puzzled. They're stumped. They're perplexed. That's all we've heard for fucking 12 years, because any of the environmental toxin poison, it's like your dogs. You do know that we have a major acute epidemic of pets dying of leukemia at under age of 10 years old. It's a major acute, it's spiked like the tide pools collapsing, like the salmon collapsing, all post Fukushima. Well, I wonder why. Roundup sprayed, everybody uses Roundup on their yards, those dogs' nose right to the ground. It's wonder any of them alive. You know, got to have those pretty freaking green weeds in my yard. It's disturbing. Yet, the media, the agencies thereof, okay, these professors all over Weber State, they get paid. I don't get paid anything. I was untenured, they fired me, fucking got rid of me, fucking grassrooted me. I don't see any of these fuckers with their, they're busy. They're not working, they're not doing anything. They can't even fucking dig and do any investigative journalists. There's no such thing in this country anymore. You know, they just take whatever fucking videos out there and spin it. So, scientists are mystified, baffled, stumped, perplexed. So, when the eagles all started in 2015, you know, you can Google Operation London Fog, Operation Jack, just Google it. Yeah, I'm not crazy. I mean, that's Dugway right here. That's Energy Solutions dump site. The hot reactor that was brought here illegally, who videoed it? Kevin Blanche. Who shut down Santa? Who's the one that does all the work on New Scale on all this? I mean, it's amazing the hats I wear. Speaking of the hats I wear, that's real. Ooh, right there. Fucking. What an ecological catastrophe we have on our hands. So I'll stay on it. I'm headed over there right now. You know, make everybody support the historic work, but I don't get much funding anymore. So they've waged fucking war on environmentalists in the U.S. Look what they've done to me. Illegally. While, by the way, I've done all this work while in critical condition. I never had a bone marrow transplant. I was too sick. They sent me home to die. I have AML leukemia. Now, me and my doctors made a decision, no more bone marrow biopsies. I've had 12 of them. No more CAT scans or pets, too much radiation in them. So we flying blind. It's very nerve-wracking. I want you to, where these animals died, these birds fell to the ground. Stair cycles right there. They were supposed to move by 2018. That was the deal. They're still there. They burned Mad Cow into that biosphere. The Holly Oil's right there. The refineries. By the way, Google Marshall Jensen's case. Marshall Jensen was in the, that's where he lived. He lived right there. He lived in, right there, where these birds, he was in the room next to me at the acute bone marrow transplant. We in at the same time. I mean, whoa, talk about a pioneer, but that's where he lived, right where these birds fall from the sky. Tundra Swans in windstorms don't just fly from the fucking sky. Hadley knows that. We all know that. They're some of the best flyers in the world. When these windstorms come, they get down. If they did get knocked down by the wind and killed them, they're sick and they're weak. Which, maybe. My guess, toxin. A group of them ate something. You know, I call it plutonium, you know. I think it was poison. And when they do the toxicology report, just like at the peninsula in Russia that's happened, 95% acute collapse. We'll get back to it. They never get back. And they're always mystified, puzzled, baffled, stumped, or post Fukushima. Because it's new. It's new. You mix radio Roundup with Fukushima fallout, with all this other toxic poisoning, environmentalism, we hit the critical mass point. We hit the tipping point. There have been more animals collapse than fucking die in North America in the jet stream of Fukushima post in the past decade than the previous millions of years combined. And I want people to very much understand this in Europe that watch these videos. In the United States, look what they've done to me. And we've proved it. We've proved it. They're felonies. The slander that went on me, the attacks that have gone at me, that's cost me? Felonies all fit, but there's no one who will protect me. No one. If you're an environmentalist in the United States, you end up, well, broke, busted, disgusted, and dead. That's what they do. The greenwashing, Sierra Clubs, you know, these pieces of shit, Greenpeace, they're a fucking clown circus. It's greenwashing. I mean, it's pathetic as fucking hell. No one attacks whistleblowers. Ask Obama put Megan Rice, an 85-year-old, in prison, tried to kill her. Fucking Trump, fuck what he's done to the Bush, Trump, Obama fucking years, what they've done to grassroots environmentalists, what they've done to fucking ecology is fucking beyond criminal. It's disturbing as hell, but no one seems to give a fuck. Stay tuned.